My girlfriend called begging for help. Turns out it was a bet she made with her friends. They popped champagne right there to celebrate and even stuffed 5,000 in my hand as a reward. But when I limped away with a broken leg, she laughed behind my back and called me a clown. Now I'm lugging my busted e-bike through the rain, realizing this relationship was a joke from day one. On a delivery run, I got a drunk call from my girlfriend. I dropped the already late order and sprinted to find her. By the time I made it there, half falling on a bad leg, she was cheering about winning her bet. Later, she showed up at my door tipsy, but I turned her away. Because that night, she'd already gambled me away. At 2 in the morning, there weren't many riders still taking orders. I batched 3 neighborhoods worth and tore through the streets. That's when my girlfriend Jessica called. The moment I answered, the club's bass slammed through the line. "Luke, I'm drunk." I was 50 meters from the drop-off and wanted to tell her to sit tight, but I heard men laughing in the background. "Hey, you're wasted! Let me walk you!" The call cut off. I spun the bike around and smashed head-on into oncoming traffic. Fire shot through my leg, skin ripped and bled. When I hobbled up to the bar, Jessica was grinning from ear to ear, nearly pitching into some guy's arms. "Luke, over here!" Spotting me, Jessica bounced over waving. I brushed dirt off. Arms opening for a hug, she ran straight past me to my delivery box. "What we betting on this time?" I turned and saw her friends crowding close. "How many orders got spilled?" Jessica Miller clapped, thrilled. "Good one, my guess is 5. I say 3. I'll go with 1. They tossed out bets, one after another, no one noticing the way my face went dark. When I opened the thermal box, it was already a wreck inside. I win again. Jessica jumped like she'd taken some grand prize and popped a bottle of champagne, spraying it wild. Can't help it, my Luke just loves me that much. Here I might get scooped up by some creep and you come flying, right? Humming, she took everyone's money and stuffed a wad of 5,000 into my hand. "Baby, keep it. You earned it." It wasn't the first time. Neither that bottle nor this wad of cash was something I could make in a month of grinding. I silently did the math on the late delivery penalties, not sure what expression I was supposed to wear. The spray hit my scraped shin and burned sharp, snapping me sober. I pushed the cash back into her hand. "Since you're fine, I'm heading out." Her smile froze. "You mad?" She leaned in, syrupy soft. "Don't scowl, okay? I just wanted you with me." I set her pleading hand aside. "Quit it. I've got to get back." I tried to wheel my beat-up e-bike away like nothing had happened. But the chain, who knows when it snapped, shattered my last bit of pride. 1 shove. 2, the wheel wouldn't move. Jessica clicked her tongue, bored. "We're all having fun. Why do you insist on playing the clown?" The crowd went quiet. Every eye landed on me. She kicked the wreck of an e-bike, and it crashed over. "Say something! Why won't you look at me? Is this piece of junk more important than me?" A pedal flew off and clattered across the pavement. When I'd borrowed the bike from my roommate, I'd sworn I'd take care of it. Now, no patch job would make it what it was. My nails bit my palm. I swallowed the shame, hoisted the bike, and left. Abandoned for the first time, Jessica completely lost it. "Walk away now, and don't you ever come back." I paused, but didn't turn around. When did my life get this pathetic? Maybe it started junior year at Christmas, when Jessica said she wanted Iceland. "Luke, next Christmas, let's go see the aurora in Iceland. They say if lovers make a wish under the lights, they'll be together forever." Looking at her hopeful profile, I thought maybe it was time to buy a ring. Then I saw the price of tickets, $30,000 for one. That was more than my living expenses for an entire year. I started to doubt whether I could give her the life she wanted. After 2 weeks of gloom, I finally worked up the nerve to tell her, "Jessica, I can't do Iceland. But when we graduate, I want us to go to Tibet together." That was a horizon I could actually reach. She froze for a second, then kindly agreed. I ran the numbers. With weekend tutoring and nighttime deliveries, in half a year I could save enough for Tibet. The next 6 months would be enough for a decent ring. I wanted to give her the best I could. From then on, almost all my free time went to work, and somewhere along the way, Jessica drifted farther and farther from me. My phone rang, pulling me out of the memory. It was Kristen, her roommate. Luke, Jessica didn't come back to the dorm last night and I can't reach her. Remind her she's got her thesis proposal meeting this afternoon. When we enrolled, her family bought her a condo off campus. She hardly ever stayed in the dorms. So Kristen's calls were usually just signals, the way they'd team up to make me cave first whenever we fought. I swung by the hub to deal with the fines and got chewed out by the manager. Looked like I wouldn't be riding for a while. By the time I finished everything, it was lunch. I grabbed some groceries on the street and hurried to Jessica's place. On the way, I couldn't stop replaying last night's ugliness. Maybe she did love me, that's why she was mad. Once she sobered up, she'd come back to me. I talked myself into it at her door, planning 3 dishes and a soup. But when it swung open, everything I pictured shattered. Jessica shoved a man away, flustered. Their clothes were on, but they were curled into each other like that. Luke, I can explain. The guy tumbled off the couch, too groggy to stand straight. I knew him, Jessica's childhood friend, Jason Smith. Since moving back last year, he'd been buzzing around her like a fly you can't swat. Jason walked me home last night. We were both so drunk we passed out, we were dressed. Nothing happened. Sure, nothing happened. The more she explained, the hollower it rang. I fought to steady my breathing so the tears wouldn't spill. Heat pounded in my skull with the rush of blood, and whatever reason I had left just snapped. One punch, and Jason's lip instantly bled. But the next second, Jessica rushed to his side, covering his face with concern. Luke, are you crazy? I told you there's nothing going on. What else do you want from me? What do you mean, what else do I want? I looked at her in disbelief, not recognizing her at all anymore. Tears finally fell. Last Halloween in Las Vegas, New Year's in Vancouver. Even this year's Lantern Festival in Japan, tell me, did he not go with you? Every time we went on a trip, Jessica always generously posted group photos, but always cut someone's figure out. Of course, she couldn't admit it. The places where I wasn't there, he, Jason, filled in for me. Slap! A burning hot slap landed on my face. It hurt like hell. Jessica roared. If you had been around, I wouldn't have had to find someone else to be with me. Luke Dawson, you only care about your fragile pride. Have you ever thought about me? Why is it always me who has to accommodate you? But I just wanted to work hard for our future, was that wrong? Jason sneered, slapping me on the shoulder. The future she wants? Can you give it to her? It wasn't like this before when I wasn't here. Now I'm back, so it's no longer your turn. His disdain slammed into my heart like a hammer, choking my breath. I clenched my fist and aimed for Jason's temple. This time, Jessica shielded him tightly, holding her head high with her eyes closed. She was ready to throw everything away. But I still couldn't help but wonder, when did she stop cherishing me? Forget it. Nothing matters anymore. I let go of my fist and walked weakly into the room. On the TV cabinet, I took out the ring I had hidden for so long. The diamond sparkled brilliantly under the light, amplifying the shock and embarrassment to the extreme. In front of Jessica, I threw it in the trash. Calmly, I said, "Let's break up." Her expression stiffened, and she slowly looked up. Her lips trembled faintly. "No, this isn't right. We shouldn't be like this." She rushed to me, desperately holding my hand. "Luke, let me explain. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Please forgive me." "I really love you. I can't live without you." Jessica cupped my face, trying to give me a cheap kiss, but I was exhausted. With all my strength, I pushed her away and walked out. She collapsed on the floor. "Luke, you can't leave! You can't leave me! How can you do this?" Her hysterical screams echoed behind me, followed by roars, wails, until all that remained was sobbing. I had imagined countless times how she would cry tears of joy when I proposed, how she would laugh and say she would marry me. But now, all that was left was shock, no joy. Back in the dorm, my roommates were heading out for afternoon classes. I grabbed Tony and asked him to help me get some time off. "Why do you look so bad?" He stopped, insisting on taking me to the hospital. But what would I say to the doctor? I feel nauseous? I can't throw up properly? I'm fine, just need a nap. That's not fine. What's really going on? Tony wouldn't back down and lifted me up. I've already said I'm fine. Can't you just leave me alone? Inadvertently, I shoved Tony, and he fell to the ground. He stared at me for a long time before finally leaving me with rest well. The dorm was empty, and I was alone. Finally, I could cry in shame. After my tears ran dry, I fell into a muddled sleep. I had a long dream, returning to the past. I saw Jessica downstairs, calling my name, unabashedly declaring her love for me. My first year in college was the hardest year. I failed the entrance exam and barely got into a backup school. Then my father had an accident at the construction site and almost became paralyzed. During those dark days, I often went to the riverside. Just when I was about to give up, it was Jessica who grabbed my sleeve. She smiled and said, "How hard is it to die? With a face like yours, it's such a waste. If you can't go on, I'll give you a goal to love me. Let's see how long we can last." She was like the sun, shining brightly, impossible to refuse. This love lasted 3 years. Looking back now, I see that even back then, she was willing to come down from the heavens to embrace me. Now, after 3 years, why has it changed? She loved my appearance and was attracted by my looks. But when I fell, she couldn't accept my downfall. "Luke, are you feeling better?" I groggily opened my eyes and saw the sky outside had darkened. Tony and the others were back from class. "Jessica's looking for you. She's been downstairs for a while." I glanced out the window and didn't respond. The youngest roommate, who was playing games, took off his headphones and helplessly said, "Luke, I'm begging you, call me Dad. Go downstairs quickly. Jessica's been calling us nonstop." My heart sank, feeling sorry for all the interruptions over the years. I hurried downstairs. Jessica's eyes were still red and swollen, with a dark ring around them, like the petals of a flower drenched in water. Suddenly, I remembered her once teasing me with her tear makeup. One move, and it looked so pitiful no one could resist. She came up and grabbed my hand, whispering, "Luke, are you still mad at me?" I turned slightly, hiding my feelings. "We've broken up." She froze for a moment, dropped her hand, and handed me a large bag. "You've been busy looking for a job lately. You need these. I've never even worn the suit I got for you. And this tie, I had someone specially make it for you." Over the years, Jessica always loved dressing me up like a doll. I thought it was uncontrollable affection. But then I realized she'd been tossing out all my so-called commoner clothes. Without hesitation, she sent them to her best friend as a joke. That's when I understood I was just a toy for her to play with when she was bored. I couldn't help but scoff. "I'm not worthy. The garbage can is where I belong." Her face subtly stiffened. She probably thought I'd never find out how she'd been mocking me behind my back. "Luke, I just want to be with you properly now. Don't you want to get married?" "I promise. I'll register tomorrow." How laughable. It seemed like only I wanted to get married. She didn't care about my retreat and insisted on holding my hand. The perfectly timed tears blurred her meticulously done makeup. "Luke, I've given up everything to get you back. There are so many people here. Can you really bear to make me sad?" A crowd started to gather around, just like when she confessed to me back then. I thought her love was passionate, that she had me cornered, unable to say no. But now, things were different. "Jessica, I'll say it one last time. We're breaking up. I hope you stop disturbing the people around me." After saying that, I turned and walked back inside. "Luke, if you take another step, we're really done for good!" She screamed and threw a tantrum, but I left resolutely. When I returned to the dorm, everyone pretended nothing had happened and went back to their spots. Tony glanced at me in silence, clearly wanting to say something but holding back. In the end, I spoke first. "Tony, I can't pay for that e-bike. I was planning to propose with it, but you were the only one who helped me. You even lent me your ride. Now, saving money seemed pointless. I withdrew some money and transferred it to Tony. I'll pay you back the original price." At this point, Tony understood everything. He threw his arm around my shoulder. "Bro, it's been so long since we gamed together. Tonight, we're not gonna stop until we're drunk." That night, we brought back 3 crates of beer. In my dreams, for the first time, I wasn't worried about money. Without the hustle of work, I had a lot more free time. I immersed myself in the library, preparing for public service exams day and night. Occasionally, when my eyes ached from hours of studying, I would glance up to see couples flirting. It was just like the past. In a daze, a latte was placed on my desk, and on the cup's lid was a familiar cat's head. Your favorite ice? Extra milk? Less sugar. Jessica pulled out the chair next to me and sat down. It was as natural as if we had been old friends for years. You still like to sit by the window, huh? Luke, you still have feelings for me, don't you? A month had passed, and Jessica had lost quite a bit of weight. Her under-eye circles were dark, clearly visible. I pushed the latte back toward her. I actually can't drink coffee. It gives me a stomachache. She used to always insist on drinking 2 different flavors, and I would indulge her. As for the seat, I'll sit wherever there's room. You probably don't know how competitive the library seating is during finals, right? Jessica looked taken aback, her eyes revealing her sadness. She sniffled, trying to look pitiful. I have to turn in my proposal tomorrow, but after we broke up, I haven't even been able to sleep well. Luke, please help me out, okay? I knew she liked to party. Over the past month, she'd posted late-night updates constantly. In the past, I was the one who'd chase after her like an old father, pushing her to study little by little. But I didn't expect that after we broke up, she'd let herself go to this extent. I replied calmly, I'm busy. Handle it yourself. I didn't realize how thoughtful you were when you helped me with brainstorming. Until I lost you, I didn't realize how precious that was. I remained unmoved, continuing to focus on my work. Can you just take a look at my proposal? I'll give you anything you want. She leaned closer, her words turning suggestive. An unexpected wave of nausea hit me. It turned out that in her eyes, I was just a convenient deal, nothing more. The nameless anger inside me flared up instantly. What makes you think that just because you snap your fingers, I'll rush to clean up your mess like a fool? Who do you think you are? My sudden outburst made Jessica's face go pale. All the surrounding eyes focused on me, silently condemning. Just then, Jason appeared at the perfect moment. He'd probably been waiting for this scene for a long time. He casually put his arm around Jessica's shoulders, sneering, I told you not to bother with him. What can a bookworm who only knows how to study do? As long as the money's right, which paper can't be bought, acting like a big shot in the library, he really picked the wrong place. His indiscriminate attack turned him into the target of ridicule. The students around us stood behind me, surrounding us. I mocked. Even if you buy everything, it's useless. What if someone can't even understand a single paper? Jason grabbed my shirt collar. You! But this time, Jessica stepped in front of me. The slap came suddenly, loud enough to echo through the library. Jason! Have you lost your mind? Our issues don't involve you. If you cause trouble for Luke again, I'm done with you. Under the angry shouts, Jason slunk away. Before leaving, Jessica grabbed my sleeve and lowered her head. Luke, I'm sorry. What I just wasn't what you think. Don't look at me like that. I really love you. But it was strange. I had once longed for her to apologize to me. Now, there was no stirring in my heart. It seemed that I had finally stopped loving her. So I no longer hated her either. After the exams, I went alone to Tibet, my unfulfilled dream. In front of the snow-white Potala Palace, countless devout worshippers walked step by step toward their faith. But I couldn't help but remember the night I walked with Jessica toward the temple. Back then, my dad was in the ICU, his life hanging by a thread. I stood outside the ward for several days without eating, barely human. Finally, one day, Jessica couldn't stand it anymore. She put me on her motorcycle. The wind howled past my ears, as if it could take all the worries away. We sped all the way, stopping at the foot of Danzi Mountain in the west of the city. She said, let's go. Since you don't want to live, we'll ask Guan Yin to exchange our lives. So we really knelt every 5 steps, bowed every 3. From the foot of the mountain to the peak, the sky was faintly bright. Miraculously, after that day, my father was out of danger. Things gradually got better. Luke, I was momentarily dazed, then turned around. Jessica was standing right behind me. You really came to Tibet. For a moment, I was confused, but in the next second, I understood. Jessica always got what she wanted. What was a simple trip itinerary to her? Luke, let's start over, okay? That day, I made a vow to the Bodhisattva that we'd always be together. But now, why does it not count anymore? I almost believed her. If I hadn't accidentally overheard her phone call, she said, "How romantic. I'm even about to fall in love with myself." This time, Luke will definitely be mine. She clearly only loved herself, but she had used the guise of loving me to deceive both of us for so many years. Until the very end, she even believed it herself. With the last bit of patience, I told her, "Please, let the memories stay pure as they were. Don't make me regret loving you." This was not the ending she imagined. Jessica stared at me, asking blankly, "We can't go back, can we?" Silence spoke everything, but she still hopelessly awaited an answer, until she finally collapsed to the ground, holding her head and crying uncontrollably. "Luke, I'm sorry. I loved you so much. How could I lose you?" But it was really funny. Her shame was real. Her regret and sorrow were real. But the love she claimed to have for me was so insincere. A week after returning from Tibet, Jessica and Jason made their relationship public. The photo showed a close-up of the engagement ring. I only found out from Tony when he mentioned it. That night, Jessica sent me a message. "I'm sorry." Now I was steadily walking my own path. Everything going smoothly. But I could never bring myself to type back, "It's okay." Those were 3 wasted years of my youth. No one deserves forgiveness so easily. The next time I saw Jessica was more than a month later, at her thesis defense. She looked fuller, a little rounder. Her purchase thesis was impressive, well written, even. Unfortunately, it was hastily stitched together, and with her lack of preparation, she couldn't answer a single question from the review panel. Naturally, she failed the defense. What was strange was that, for once, proud Jessica didn't fight it. The next day, I unexpectedly received an invitation from her father. After I refused several times, he personally drove to my dorm, clearly determined not to leave without seeing me. The Miller family villa sat on an island in the middle of the city's river, surrounded by the rich and powerful. I still remembered. The first time I came here trying to save on taxi fare, I ended up getting lost in the neighborhood. Looking at it now, it seemed much more desolate. "Luke, I heard you did great at the defense, and even won outstanding graduate. Truly promising for someone so young. Not like old me. I just hope my silly daughter finds a good home." Jessica's father started with polite small-talk words that seemed complimentary but carried hidden meaning. "Sir, if there's something you want, please just say it." His heavy palm pressed over mine. "Would you consider going abroad with Jessica? As long as you agree, I promise the 2 of you will never have to worry about money again." Honestly, I was stunned. Had Jessica's public engagement announcement been a joke all along? Jessica's father's gaze flicked upward, and I finally noticed Jessica standing in the corner. Despite her efforts to hide, I could still see the slight swell of her belly. So that day when she looked rounder, it hadn't been my imagination. Now I understood the real reason for this invitation. "Sir, I respect you as an elder, but you can't seriously expect me to be the fool cleaning up this mess, can you?" "Watch your mouth!" Jessica's father flushed with rage as his pretense shattered. He flung the teacup, smashing it into shards, just like before. That mid-autumn festival years ago, Jessica had brought me home for dinner on a whim. I had carefully picked out a bottle of wine as a gift, but as he took it, he accidentally dropped it. Oops. My hand slipped. But this wine, well, what a shame about my $100,000 Turkish carpet. I stood there mortified, ears burning. Jessica stormed out with me. I thought she was upset for my sake. But once outside, she doubled over laughing. "Did you see the old man's face? He was about to explode." "If I'd known, I would have brought you home sooner." When she saw my expression, she flustered, apologizing. "I was just joking." See, that's how far apart our worlds were, let alone our love. I tested the waters, so it was a business alliance after all. Now that the marriage deal's off, I wonder which one of us is the carpet and which one's the spilled wine. Her father's face turned pitch black. Just as the rumors said, the Miller Group's finances were in trouble. He snapped. "Don't be ungrateful. Even if the Millers fall, one word from me and I can ruin your career." "Really?" I smiled faintly. "Then I'd like to see if your reach extends into the Economic Crime Bureau." The announcement period had already passed. My contract was signed. I was officially a civil servant now. I saw Jessica's father's pupils tremble from shock to despair. Jessica stumbled after me, one hand protectively over her belly. Luke, if I told you the marriage was forced, would you believe me? You said you'd love me forever. Was that all a lie? My steps faltered, and a wave of sorrow welled up inside me. The once dazzling radiant sun had finally fallen into the mud. With my back to her, I said my final goodbye to those 3 years of youth. Take care of yourself. We won't meet again. The Miller Group's troubles had already made the news more than once. If we were to meet again, it would probably be in court. I didn't expect that day to come so soon. On the very first day of my new posting, Jessica's father was officially summoned for investigation. By the time Jessica rushed over, she was too late to see him. When she saw me, she clung to me like a drowning woman grabbing her last bit of driftwood. Luke, will I never see my dad again? Please, can you help me? I just want to see him one last time. For a moment, I saw my old self in her desperation. But there's a line between black and white, and even if I was moved, I couldn't cross it. Go home first. There's always a way. But she refused to leave, struggling and sobbing at the gate until she collapsed. A cry went up in the crowd. Bright red blood was trickling down her leg. That was the first time I truly felt how fragile life could be gone in a single instant. All the love, hate, and resentment meant nothing anymore. I frantically called for an ambulance, trying to pull Jessica back from death's door. Thankfully, we made it in time. When Jessica woke up, it was late the next night. Is there any family here for Jessica? A nurse called anxiously in the corridor. I got up and stepped into the room. Under Jessica's hopeful gaze, I couldn't bring myself to say I was her family. She murmured, Luke, I have nothing left. You're all I have now. But I no longer belong to her, just as she had never truly belonged to me. I slowly lowered her trembling hand. Jessica, you once saved my life. Now I've repaid that debt. We're even. Jessica stared at me in disbelief, silent for a long while. Then, finally, she smiled, faintly relieved. In the end, she chose to let go. The Luke from 3 years ago was young and naive, not yet knowing that love could take many forms, but pity and guilt were never among them. The Jessica of 3 years later had to learn that cruel truth through tears and pain. After that day, I requested to be transferred off the Miller Group investigation team. I saw Jessica a few times at the bureau, each time fleetingly. She seemed to have grown up overnight, stronger, more composed. She worked tirelessly for her father's case. Whenever our eyes met, we only exchanged a polite nod before parting. Everything was as I'd hoped. We had become the most familiar strangers. July came, and with it, graduation. The campus was once again full of life. Everyone exchanged blessings and took photos together. Only around Jessica was there emptiness. After the thesis scandal, she had to delay her graduation. And with her family's situation, I didn't think she'd show up at all. But that night, at the graduation ball, all the people who had feigned kindness during the day tore off their masks. Under the pretense of celebration, they poured glass after glass of red wine over Jessica's head, like demons in a frenzy. But Jessica was a proud woman, furious. She stood up, ready to throw it all back at them. Then came a sharp crack. The red imprint of a slap bloomed across her face. The one who started it all was Jason. Oh, isn't this my beloved Jessica, still as temperamental as ever? Isn't this slap exactly what you liked the most before? Just as another slap was about to fall, I couldn't hold back anymore and grabbed his wrist. What are you even? Frustration, with nowhere to go, made Jason act even more deranged. He then raised his left hand, attempting to punch me, the unwelcome guest. Young Master Jason, if I remember correctly, isn't your family also under investigation? One punch from you would be assaulting a public servant. Jason's eyes were wide with rage, almost burning with fire, but he had no way out. His punch landed on a nearby decorative pillar. Luke, we still have plenty of time, he said. But what could he do? He no longer had any time left. After all, I couldn't tell him that his entire thesis-selling operation had already been exposed. A formal investigation had already begun. Maybe for the power of the Jason family, this wasn't a huge deal. But Jason's father, knowing what his son had done, let him go, turning Jason into an important cog in his money laundering operation. The story had long spiraled out of control. As we were facing off, Jessica had already disappeared. I searched for her outside the venue and found her hiding in a corner, lost in thought. The red wine on her white dress, no matter how much I wiped, remained a deep red stain. I pulled out a handkerchief and handed it to her. "Wipe your face first. You used to be so bold, but you shouldn't push things so hard now." Jessica numbly accepted the handkerchief. Her eyes were subtly reddened. She suddenly rose on tiptoe and moved closer to me. I instinctively turned my head away. If there's a towel on the ground blocking your way, you'd throw it away, but you'd never wipe your mouth with it. Do you understand what I mean? Jessica's hand hovered in midair. That was the first time I saw her look so awkward. "I'm sorry. I was too forward." She lowered her head, no longer daring to meet my gaze. In a hurry, she fled. A long time later, every time I thought of that moment, I regretted not speaking properly and parting with dignity. At that time, how could I have known that our youth would end so suddenly, accompanied by sighs, in that summer? The last time I saw Jessica was 2 years after graduation. That day, the rain was heavy. My wife was craving some crawfish takeout at midnight, but after waiting for a long time, the order was way past the delivery time. Finally, when the doorbell rang, I heard a familiar voice. "I'm really sorry. The rain was too heavy. I accidentally flipped over." So, following the voice, it was Jessica. The large delivery uniform swallowed her up, making her seem tiny. The raincoat, barely covering her, was covered in dirt from the fall. In her hands, the crawfish were all overturned, dripping oil all over the place. When she saw me, Jessica quickly looked down. "I'll pay for the order, but I hope you don't leave a bad review." My wife, seeing her hands were injured, grabbed her hand. "Oh my God, you've cut yourself? And you're still worried about the crawfish?" She pulled Jessica inside. But Jessica, like a frightened rabbit, hurriedly tried to retreat. "No, I don't want to dirty your house with my shoes." But my wife, with her warm-hearted nature, wasn't about to let her leave like that. Ignoring her objections, she pulled her inside. Then she went to get some medicine. The hallway was left with just the two of us, and the atmosphere turned awkward. "You, actually bought a house here?" Looking up, I saw Jessica peeking at my home. It turned out that, coincidentally, the apartment I lived in was in the same community as the one Jessica's family had bought for her. Even the layout of the apartment was identical. It was then that I realized she had misunderstood something. "I don't have that kind of financial power. I just happened to get a welfare house from my company." "It was just luck." Jessica's eyes visibly dimmed. My wife returned with the bandages and carefully began to clean and apply medicine to Jessica's wounds. She didn't forget to nag. "It's not easy for a girl to do this. Make sure to be careful at night." By the way, my husband used to deliver food. I heard he once broke his leg delivering to his ex-girlfriend. My wife joked, unaware that Jessica's eyes had quietly reddened. Tears, large as beans, fell, confused and uncontrollable. My wife panicked. Why are you crying?" "I'm sorry. Did I say too much?" Jessica hurriedly wiped her tears away, struggling to control her sobs. "I'm fine. It's just that no one's cared for me like this in a long time. Thank you." After saying that, she quickly ran off, leaving only a thin figure in the night. Everything happened so quickly. My wife, still stunned, buried her face in my chest. "Honey, did I make things worse by being too kind?" I affectionately patted her head and comforted her. "Of course not. Maybe because of your kindness, you helped her get through a difficult winter." Later, at a class reunion, I accidentally heard the news that Jason had been released from prison. When the scandal broke, Jason became the scapegoat of the Jason family, shouldering all the blame. Due to academic fraud and his long sentence, he never earned his degree. After being released from prison, he struggled to find a way forward and ended up fleeing abroad, disappearing without a trace. As for Jessica, she completely vanished from people's sight. With time passing, the people and events of our youth gradually blurred, but I never forgot. That summer by the river, the bold and radiant girl who, on a whim, saved me.